Oh, hey everybody. Welcome to the Multi-Voice Entertainment. Tis I, the Michael A. Graham, aka the Multi-Voice. I have many voices, but one opinion. And today, some of you do remember that one comedy I made about, some sort of science fiction comedy. Well, this time, I decided to go back. Since some of you have enjoyed my, the plan, the Planetary issue 1 to 3, well, on this one, I decided to pick up where I left off. So let's dig into Planetary issue 4 to 6 and see how it goes afterwards. Trust me, it does. Now, the whole story, the story starts out. There was a man who goes by the name of Mr. Nemercy. Nemercer. However I try to pronounce it. Nemercer or whatever. And he's talking to a guy who goes by the name of Jim Willer. And you're wondering why I'm not showing a picture of him yet, because in due time. But anyway, Mr. Nimrier told Jim, since Jim is a private investigator, he was hired from him to find out any information that involves a certain woman who goes by the name of Anna Hark. And I'll get to Anna Hark pretty soon. But anyway, Jim, he decided to walk down the street, start calling to some people on some of the cases he'd done, and then all of a sudden he sees a mugger strangling a victim. So he walked up to, he ran towards the mugger and punched him in the face, but the victim's saying, "He took my heart pills, my heart is about to explode." So he chased after him down the street and into a restricted area. Now, the mugger ran into that restricted area where they found this beacon that was discovered under the ground. And of course, Jim ran after him until he climbed up to that beacon, and then, zoom! He get teleported. And of course, we have the usual members of the Planetary: Elijah Snow, Chiquita Wagger, and the drummer. They were looking for the artifact and they know Jim, and then all of a sudden Jim disappeared while touching that artifact. So now they're trying to figure out what just happened. And Jim ended up in another world inside that beacon. Now, Drummer kept stomping at the device in order to get the person back, and they and of course, Chiquita and Elijah starts talking about how things always keeps happening. Not much unexpected ever happens lately. Until this. And while the drummer kept stomping on the artifact, all of a sudden, bam! Jim has returned. And Jim has this huge lightning scar on his chest. And he wakes up in a hospital. Passing by is none other than the one I mentioned, Dr. Brass. Dr. Brass. And I mentioned about Dr. Brass before, though. Dr. Axel Brass, the one who is like the Doc Savage in the story. Anyway, Dr. Brass, his legs are still scrawny and weak, but he's still walking on crutches. And he looks at Jim and then pass by, and right behind him is, of course, the Planetary themselves, asking him how he's doing. And telling him that he's in a hospital, but not like any typical hospital. A hospital that deals with unexplained supernatural and weird things that they do treat people who have been experiencing those things. And Chiquita starts asking Jim some questions about what happened. And Jim said that he jumped into that artifact and he teleported into a wrecked spaceship. And the wrecked spaceship decided to choose him to be its pilot. And of course, seeing that snowflake dimension, like I mentioned in the first issue, turns out that that ship itself, it landed on Earth ever since the dinosaur era. So it was trapped on Earth for a long, long time, and the pilot died during the wreckage. So now the ship itself choose you, and it gave him science fiction cosmic powers. And of course, he even saw the lightning scar. And when he let the lightning scar glue, his form, James Willard's form, turned into this. Some look, eh? And of course, he was asking the members of the Planetary to take his hand. And he teleported them to the ship that he got beamed into. And it showed it had wildlife in it. It has all the animals. I mean, that ship is like an intergalactic Noah's Ark, in a way. And then after he gave him a tour around the ship, he decided to teleport them back to the hospital, which he did. And of course, Chiquita and Elijah were talking that since this happened, it's time for the Planetary. I mean, the only thing the Planetary always done is just watch and observe, but it's time to do some action now. And they decided to help Jim. And now, the Planetary is off on another mission. Now we get to issue number 5. In this one, Elijah stayed in the hospital, and he meets Dr. Brass. Now, Dr. Brass, he starts talking to Elijah, and he starts reminiscing about the good old days. And they're talking about, them being the children of the century, them being born in the 1900s. And of course, Dr. Brass reminisces about his past, like what he took chemicals and made him indestructible and all that, kind of like what Doc Savage did. And then Elijah turned on the television, and then they both remembered a certain person that showed up on the screen, Jenny Sparks. Now, for those of you who don't know who Jenny Sparks is, she is a century girl, and she has a longevity because she is Albert Einstein's granddaughter, and she had met she met Adolf Hitler and told him that he should be getting involved in politics, which she regrets doing that. So she feels bad telling Hitler about getting into politics. So that's her fault. But Jenny Sparks, she has electric kinesis where she can move electricities with her mind. And every time she snaps her fingers, a spark showed up. And of course, she's a cigarette smoker. And in today's society, if they ever do a TV series based on this, I knew that they will not let her smoke, but I bet they're gonna have her chew gum instead. Since I mean, and for those of you who are wondering, Jenny Sparks, she's the leader and the member of the authorities. The one I mentioned in my James Gunn DC Cinematic Universe, where they're planning to do a Superman meets the authorities, and the authorities are like the Justice League if they were the judge, jury, and executioner. They're way more violent than the Justice League. And of course, I also mention the gay version of Superman and Batman, which is Apollo and Midnighter. So if any of you wants to read a story about a gay Superman and a gay Batman, read The Authorities. Or read their spinoff, Midnighter and Apollo. They did a spinoff. And of course, in the comics, they're both are married. And of course, they even mentioning another Superman like character besides Apollo, who is also a member of the authorities, the High, also known as John Cumberland. Hmm, something very familiar about the outfit of that character. I don't know. He just reminds me of a certain Superman like character who is very violent and evil from a certain TV show. And of course, Dynamite Comics. Oh well, I'm sure it will come to me. But anyway, Brass remembered meeting High, and High did his part saving the world and such. While Brass goes through his adventures dealing against human spiders and battling against the forces of evil. And of course, that's when he starts talking about another character I mentioned, Hark, who is like their version of Fu Manchu, except they're making him into a hero now. I mean, he was once evil, but now he's good. And they even mention that Hark has a daughter, and her name, as I mentioned in the beginning, Anna Hark. Even though Hark is gone, but he has a daughter named Anna Hark. And also, still talking about the battles that him and the Secret Society did together, battling against hordes of monsters, lizard people, and things from outer space, and evil, powerful beings, and been victorious for all those years, and even witnessing how much things always been changing throughout the years. And that battle he had from those alternate evil versions of the Justice League was a big relief to him. The one I mentioned in the last one. And of course, Brass asked him for a cigarette. And Elijah always kept a pack with him, but he never came around to smoke it. He just kept it around. And of course, Brass says, now they say these things are bad for you, you know. And of course, laughed. Of course, everybody's going anti cigarettes, and now everybody's going all anti vape now. Even though they were supposed to help people stop smoking, but now people are more addicted to vape than cigarettes. What a world. What a world, huh? But of course, Elijah remembers that him, Chiquita, and the drummer weren't the only members of the Planetary. There was a fourth member who went missing, and he doesn't even know where he is. And of course, Brass reminisce about the final victory that him and his team had celebrated, but sadly, Elijah said that he was busy at the time. Now let's get to issue number 6. In this one, the drummer starts telling the team that in Germany they were trying to master space flight before it was between us and the Russians. And there was supposed to be a group of. Oh, I can't say that. Since, according to the YouTube rules, I cannot say that word, the German N word. So I'll just say Third Reich or German stormtrooper. German stormtroops. But it turns out that the German stormtroops, they were planning to have a rocket ship ready to go all the way up to the moon before Apollo and before Sputnik and before the first satellite had ever went into space. While at the same time, Ingrid Snow and Chiquita went into this top secret building called the Four Voyagers building. While at the same time, it turns out that the Germans elected 4 scientists, Third Reich scientists, who is ready to do space travel into the moon. And I meant the 4. And of course, this one is led, and their leader he goes by the name of Rander Dowling. While at the same time, Chiquita and Elijah went to the pin house on top of the building. While Drummer continued, there was also Jacob Green, William Leather, who's a flight engineer, and of course the female physicist, Kim Shakind. Shakind. Kim Shakind. And those 4 astronauts were sent to go into the rocket ship and go all the way to the moon. While Elijah and Chiquita was in their building, they went to their penthouse and they see a stairs leading all the way up to this portrait of the stars. You know, I like that portrait. I like to have that on my wall. I would love to have this hanging at my wall. Makes me think of the stars and the galaxy and everything. And they had cameras on their ship, so they finally went up into space, and instead of heading towards the moon, they went into that dimensional snowflake. This the same dimensional snowflake from the first issue. And they went right through a red light, and all of a sudden the team member screamed. While at the same time, they went to the Four's lair in the penthouse, and it turns out that somebody is there sabotaging a few things. So Chiquita runs really fast, and it turns out that it's none other than William Leather. Turns out that the 4 didn't die when they traveled, although when the rescue team trying to find them, they found their remains and they thought they were dead, but they're not. They faked their death, and where they are, they don't know. Anyway, Chiquita starts fighting against William Leather, and they had a brutal fight, while at the same time, Chiquita gave him the file of the 4s. And while William knocked out Chiquita, he starts walking towards Elijah Snow. And of course, William had a beard, but he let his flame ability burned his beard out of his face. And he also said that he has some information that he needs. And of course, he said that he met him before, but Elijah has no recollection of meeting them. And of course, Elijah shut up Leather by kicking him in the groin. And he wanted the information. I mean, like, how did he knew his name? But of course, Leather won't tell. So he was leaving him a bit of a hint of his past that Elijah forgot. And then William Leather, he went all flame on and he got really bright and went right through the floor, disappeared, vanished into thin air. And that is the end of Planetary issue 4, 5, and 6. Now, to my opinion, folks, I would say that the 4 are actually this evil version of the Fantastic Four. And speaking of Fantastic Four, this is a great time for me to mention this to you folks. I've heard about the Fantastic Four MCU movie, and I'm not interested on watching that. I'm still pissed about them making the Silver Surfer a woman. I'm still pissed. And there are a few things in the movie that I may not like. So I don't think I'm up to see that. I'd rather see the Superman movie instead. Because, like I said, I'm more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan. So, sorry, folks. But anyway, in this story here, the Four are like the evil version of the Fantastic Four. But if they fake their death, what is their purpose? What are they planning to do? What is their game? I don't know what they're up against, and what did Elijah forgot, or what happened and made him forget the last time he met the Fours? I guess it's all will be revealed after the rest of this issue, folks. Oh yeah, and I also saw the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, and I gotta say, even though the special effects was pretty cheesy and kind of cheap, but it was a lot better than the other Fantastic Four. And the only reason why it was never shown in theaters, it was because, well, the ownership with Roger Corman and Marvel separated. What a waste. So, if you like this review so far, please leave a comment down below, hit like, and subscribe for more. And my next review is going to be a theory. A crossover theory. But after this, I'm probably going to pick up where I left off in Planetary. So, I'm the multi-voice reviewer. I remember so I can jog your memory.